Hi and welcome. This is Scenarios from History. Hopefully this is the first one of many. And this is the action of 15th July 1798. And here are the combatants. So first we have HMS Lion, who is a British third rate 64 gun. And for this battle I've had her with the Lucky, the Master Gunner and the streamlined hull, and notice that's with our special rules, so our house rules, so that adds 1 to the rate of knots if you select streamlined hull. Otherwise she has standard stats for a 64 gun. She has veteran crew, as I said, 3 guns heavy, 2 light and 1 carronade, 1 heavy bout chaser. So rate of knot is 5 since she has the streamlined hull. She was of the Worcester class. So and I didn't have a 64 gun in my fleet at the moment. I ended up selling all of them, so I had to use 74 gun, small 74 gun. Hope that works. This is the Spanish fleet, 4 frigates. First out is the Pomona, and she has the standard stats from Warlord games. So that's a large 5th rate frigate, 2-1-1 and 1 light bow chaser, 36 ship points. Then the other 3 are small, and these are from our house rules, so small 5th rate frigates. Only difference really is 32 ship points, and then that they have 2 light cannon instead of 2 heavy, so they have a lighter broadside. Standard rule for the Spanish apply. For the British, as you might have seen on the previous slide, in our special rule we just remove the +1 for the British. Otherwise the normal British national rules apply. So you can see here in the text, so it's an early morning haze of July 15, 1798. The 64 gun HMS Lion under Captain Manley Dixon intercepts the Spanish squadron of 4 frigates returning from Cartagena. Spotting the Santa Dorotea had fallen out due to mass damage, Dixon seizes the opportunity. So, and that's the objectives and what you're supposed to have. I'm gonna release this in the comments below, so you guys, if you want to try it. That's the whole point with this series, is that we're presenting some scenarios from history that we play tested and they worked, and then maybe you guys can give it a try. So basically you have a 64 gun with the wind gauge engaging 4 5th rate frigates, 3 small ones, 1 large, 1 with mass damage, leaving it with slightly worse turn and less speed, so it can't go to full sails. Here you have the setup, a little bit clearer on a map, 36 inch in between the British and the Spanish, and then Santa Dorotea slightly behind the Spanish line, 6 inches behind. And yeah, a little bit of flavor illustration as well of the situation in the setup. So I hope you guys are gonna enjoy this battle report and how we played it. Idea is maybe you play it with a friend and you play it once on one side and then maybe a little later, and that's our plan as well. You swap sides and see if the other player can get a different result. Beautiful painting here of the engagement. And here we have our setup. As you can see, HMS Lion bearing up on the Spanish ships. I forgot to take some photos as usual. I probably shouldn't have a YouTube channel because I'm so forgetful. So there will be a few images, not as many as you would like, and this is the photo is actually from a little bit further in. So this is turn 1, and as you can see, HMS Lion on full sails and bearing down from the weather gauge on the Spanish line here. And you have Pomona in the front here, and then Proserpine Proserpine, I can't remember the name. The second Spanish ship, Santa Casilla, and then Santa Dorotea with the mass damage. Furthest back in the line. Turn 2. So the first turns here are pretty quick, not many ships, and that's actually the advantage. Why we still play Black Seas with our house rules sometimes is because you can just set something up and get it done playing within a few hours. And also it's a pretty streamlined system, I have to give it that, and it's a lot of fun. So we are turning our ships from the front according to our house rules. So we put the turning circle at the front of the ship. So that's a difference from the normal rule set as well. So the Spanish player here is they're wearing and also in succession. So they're wearing in succession, so then it's called tacking in succession, but they're wearing. And this is with our new rules for wearing, so you can fire, and you can also, you don't need to roll a die either. You just complete the action of wearing, declaring that you do it, that's all. And of course, a ship, if they're going to keep the formation, those 3 frigates are in formation, so if they're going to keep the formation, then they're going to have to stay at the same sail. They can't like speed up one at a time. So here HMS Lion spots an opportunity to break the Spanish frigate line and manages to get into a position where it could rake the Santa Dorotea's bow and then the stern of Santa Casilla as well. The thing is, it did so much damage to Santa Dorotea, so the battle immediately was a draw or a loss for the British, depending on the continuation, because the British ship was supposed to capture Santa Dorotea, as you could see earlier, and there can be no capture of a wreck. It got sunk. It got a full 32 points of damage, and that's all it had. So it got wrecked, and then Santa Casilla took 6 points of damage from the stern rake. So a very ineffectual stern rake, which outside of 3 inches, I should say. It was closer than 3 inches for the Santa Dorotea, so it hit really hard. You have bow rake is +1, just like in the normal rule for each gun, +1 damage, and then if you would be close, it's double damage, and that's what happened. So here the Pomona returns fire, her initial broadside, opening up on the Lion, HMS Lion, and she does not very much damage. It does 5 points of damage, that's all. So also a pretty weak broadside there. Most of the shots miss. Should add that the Lucky upgrade that was on HMS Lion and also the Master Gunner, they both fizzled. The dice rolls were terrible and nothing really useful came out of it. The reroll was misses, and the reroll for the Lucky was also a miss. So here in turn 4, HMS Lion has maneuvered up, and it's not a bow rake, but it's a close range fire to the bow of the Pomona, and it does 25 points of damage. It's also a critical hit. It's a gun deck hit. So the gun deck, and since that's the front, it's actually the bow chaser, the light gun, one light gun, the bow chaser. Sometimes we've had a rule where you'd roll, since it's hitting on the front, maybe it could hit on either the side or the front, disabling, since it's a rake. But we decided to have it this way this time. Also, should add that we decided to do the rules and another close range broadside from Pomona. She's responding back and doing 5 ship points of damage. But what I was saying is, and another ship firing, they don't do very much damage here, the Spanish ship. The dice rolls are, unfortunately for the Spanish player, terrible. we've decided to do the broadside as a cone, a 30-degree cone from the center of the ship. So that's also a difference from the normal rules and also how we've played with our house rules before Black Seas, since usually you just fire straight lines from the side. We'll see, we're going to test this some more and see how it works out, but initially we just like it. Feels, I mean, of course they could like point their guns sideways a bit, so a 30-degree cone from the center of the ship, and then you can just place the mark on top of your ship and kind of measure the lines out in that way. So I told Marcus, who was playing the Spanish, he decided to basically just scatter the frigates at this point. So here the HMS Lion is wearing, and since with the rules you're allowed to fire when you wear and there's no dice roll needed, you just fire the guns and it does 7 points of damage and it pushes the Pomona below her striking the flag value, ship points, but she made it. She actually made a very many dice rolls for striking the colors. She managed to stay in the game quite a while here, even though she was below her actual number of to strike. That's a 5 or a 6 on a T6 if you don't know it. She's a normal crew, like not an expert crew, but just a normal ship crew. Also, we keep the wrecks in play, moving them with the wind a bit. Turn 6. This is the situation. The beginning of that turn. I really like this. It's just a atmospheric picture. I mean, many times when we're just watching these battle reports that we make, you don't get to see it like that. But it is a really nice thing, just watching it from the side and seeing how it looks. So the Spanish fleet continues to scatter, and HMS Lion trying to find the Spanish frigates that are still reachable, and trying to get off a broadside on them. And here she is firing and hitting the Pomona for another 5 ship points. She manages to stay in play though, she doesn't strike her flag yet. Should also add, as you've seen, the wind actually turned here in turn 7. So it's turned to the south, and then in the following turn here, it turned back to the southeast. So the wind veered 1 point, and that's the dice roll on that chart, the quick reference sheet, the one originally made by Moller Phil. So you see here the wind is turning south, and then on turn 8 it turns back to southeast. And that changes a lot of things, because now, as you can see, the Spanish frigate here trying to make it out is that's Santa Casilda is in irons, and so is Proserpine. I'm not sure the name, I always say it wrong, but she's also in irons at this point, and then that allows HMS Lion to maneuver into position and open fire. And you see, this would have been a partial broadside, I guess, with the original rules, but it's just a full broadside with that 30-degree cone of damage, or cone of fire. And that turns out to be too much for Santa Casilda, and she strikes her flag. So 2 Spanish frigates at this point has struck their flags, and then at this point as well the Pomona, after surviving many dice rolls and trying to repair up, has also struck. So in play there is just HMS Lion and the last Proserpine Spanish frigate in play. We decided to keep on playing, and these are the turns 8 to 11, as I said, on turn 8 it veered back to the southeast, the wind. We also had turn 9 becalmed, and with the rules as they work, it's a little bit different in our house rules than, and that's also those that's from Modeler Phil originally, so it works a little bit different becalmed than in the original rules. You can read up on that. So that turn didn't happen very much since all the ships were becalmed. And then we had turn 10 and then turn 11. So this is what's playing out here on the board. Playing these type of scenarios from history is a lot of fun. I really recommend it. Like, we look up, we see what ships we have, and then we look up what we can find that is playable historically. So we're gonna have something a little bit reversed of this one as well. We're working on, because there's this El Glorioso Spanish ship that just went through one British ship after another. So we're going to try that as well. There's going to be more of this. So this is number 1 in a series, hopefully. So scenarios from history. And the whole deal here is we play it, and there's a battle report, but there is also going to be links to where you can download the rules for the scenario and the map, so you can try it yourselves. Maybe eventually, once I've done the whole series, there's going to be a lot of them, I'm going to release some kind of compendium so you can just play through all of them when you like. So on turn 11, the Lion managed to capture Santa Casilda. So she did capture a Spanish frigate, not the one from history, Santa Dorotea. So it's still a draw. We will be discussing, there is this early thing where the Spanish player made a mistake and got raked bow and stern from two of the frigates. If that would have been playing out different, maybe we would have a different result. We're also discussing maybe just making the like not allowing upgrades, even though that's going to skew the points even more for the British 64 gun. So it needs to be a veteran, because it was an experienced ship, right? But otherwise, maybe not allowing the upgrades. Of course, they didn't really play a role since they fizzled in this. Like, both roles were useless. Rerolling for the master gunner, reroll initial broadside did nothing. Both were hits anyway, or misses anyway. And then the lucky also didn't work out. So those two add-ons did not work. Of course, it had streamlined hull, making it 1 inch faster, which allowed it to come up quicker to the frigates. So that might have played a role in it as well. So when you play this, maybe you try to change things around for flavor. It was a British success in history. The Santa Dorotea was captured by HMS Lion, and then the other 3 Spanish frigates made it away. But we were hoping it would play out a little bit different. And I guess it could have, because a lot of the Spanish broadsides turned out really weak, and could have become probably harder hitting. There was some damage done to HMS Lion, not enough to halve her guns, but yeah, a good 20 points of damage was done to her. So I guess replaying it, maybe it could play out different. We might at some point decide to replay this entire scenario, but swap sides, swap players, and then you see if we can get a different result. All in all, a lot of fun, and a good idea to try these scenarios from history if you haven't done it. The history books are full of examples for you to try out, and try out with different systems. I mean, we could have done this with beat the quarters. Would have been great fun, I'm sure, but it would have taken a very long time. And this is the advantage of Black Sea's rule set, I think, since you can have these shorter engagements and a little bit simpler rule sets. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want some more, just browse around the channel. We have plenty of battle reports. I have tutorials, ship builds, and some history. So have a look around. If you haven't subscribed, I would really appreciate you subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to give a like. I see you for the next one.